questions or issues. Now, first question is, what is the percentage share of the country's military expenditures in terms of our gross domestic product?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's below 1%. I think last year it was 0.09%. So that is, that's my estimate. I don't know the exact figure actually.
So, yeah, thereabouts, more or less 1% of the GDP.
Yes, sir.
You know? Now, what's the ideal share of the military expenditures?
Sir, excuse me, Secretary Lorenzana, sir, before you answer, excuse me, Senator Lacson, sir, I just would like to recognize the physical presence of Senator Tolentino, andito ngayon katabi ko, at saka si Senator Nancy Binay, who is online. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, sir, Secretary Lorenzana, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the question is...
Standard natin dito yung yung standard that we should follow, yung minimum credible defense posture, hindi ba?
Yes, sir.
So what is the ideal?
Based on the expenditure of our neighboring countries who have already developed their own credible defense posture, I think 2%, Mr. Chairman, will be ideal for us so that we can procure more equipment. And ang tingin po namin, Mr. Chairman, ay kung if you spend for new equipment, ay we can reduce also our people. For instance, kung marami tayong helicopter na magdadala ng ating mga tropa sa mga remote areas, we need less people kasi ang ginagawa ng army ngayon, lakad ng lakad, so they need more people to do that. Whereas kung marami tayong equipment, we can reduce the personnel, and in the long run, we can also save. So 2%, Mr. Chairman, sa akin, for us is ideal. A share of the AFP or the DND in the national GDP.
That is correct, no? That's exactly my point, no? Don't you think it's about time that we shift from personnel or infantry-based AFP strength to equipment or equipage? Kasi napag-iwanan na tayo, that's, 1% difference is huge, kasi we're at 1% and the ideal is 2%. So in nominal value, magkano kailangan natin to have a minimum credible defense posture? More or less.
If our budget now, Mr. Chairman, is 297,000 billion, maybe we are looking at about between 500 billion to 600 billion. That would be ideal, and we can actually now focus on our capability and development.
Yes, but the problem, even if we double up the budget of the Defense Department, ang madadagdagan na magdodoble rito yung PS because nakapokus tayo sa personnel. But if we shift to equipage, maybe we will have a different figure.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman. I think that's exactly the correct. While if we improve our equipage, that can multiply the effectiveness of our people, we can actually reduce our personnel. In other countries, Mr. Chairman, the ideal ratio of the expenditure for PS and to the total budget of the military is about 30%, 30 or less. Sa Amerika nga, 25% lang sa budget nila yung pang sweldo. All others is for the maintenance of the equipment. So, ngayon ang ating ratio is 44% of the budget is 43% is dedicated for personal services. Napakalaki yan. Halos kalahati ng budget natin ay pang sweldo. If we can reduce that to about maybe 20%, 25%, then we have more money to maintain our equipment and buy more equipment, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it's actually 42.3 Yeah, thereabouts, Anyway,
Yes, sir.
um, yesterday, during our final hearing on the MUP pension reform bills, Yusek Ding Luna emphasized that the strength of the AFP is threat-based, not population-based. No? Now, what are the identified threats in the order of severity and, of course, priority?
Mr. Chairman, it's still the communist insurgency. There are still pockets of resistance and strongholds in the Philippines, like Eastern Mindanao, Negros, Samar, and to some extent, Cagayan Valley. It's true. That's what actually we were discussing for many times, Mr. Chairman, na threat-based kami compared sa PNP na merong ratio ng one policeman per so many population. Itong armed forces, pagka mahimik yung isang lugar, then we withdraw our forces. Now, the reason why we recruited more people in the past several years is because of the terrorism that are already nasa Mindanao. That's why we 7,000 troops in Holo just to add to address yung Abu Sayyaf na yan. So yes, Mr. Chairman, we believe that we should look at the AFP differently from the other uniformed personnel.
Thank you. And of course, when we talk of a terrorist threat, that would also involve threat from the CTG, di ba? Communist terrorist groups. Because of the recent designation by the ATC ng CPP NPA as a terrorist group, di ba? So kasama na doon sa terrorist threat yung communist insurgency. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. But the terrorism is very different from the extremist groups. They are lumped as one group of terrorists, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I agree. I asked that question because parang hindi nag-a-add up yung personal strength, because it seems that compared to 2021, the current year, nag-increase pa yung budget sa PNPS ng AFP from 122.8 billion, now it's at 129 billion pesos. So I thought we're gaining ground against communist insurgency. So why are we increasing the budget of of personal services? 'Di ba dapat threat based? If we're gaining ground, dapat pababa yung population ng o personal fill up ng AFP. Is that the correct or logical conclusion?
You are correct, Mr. Chairman, that dapat nagdudor down na rin tayo dahil we keep saying that the communist insurgency is losing ground and they're losing people. But the reason why we have the increase of personal services is so we organize one division in Holo that will be there permanently to maintain peace and order there. That's one division of how many people? About 5,000 personnel, 3 brigades, and one headquarters unit. Nandun lahat. Plus, the President has doubled the combat pay of soldiers in Holo. That is the reason of the increase, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, that's the 11th division, addressing yung situation sa Basulta area.
That's right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Meron lang akong question, I want to be clarified though. Yung distribution ng budget for personal services sa AFP. Of course, yung AFP is getting 98% of the entire PS budget of the Defense Department, Kasi yung 129, ang nakadedicate sa AFP is 126.83 billion. And rightly so, kasi nandyan naman talaga yung personnel ng Defense Department. Now, my question is, if we calculate yung 126 billion, ang 42.398 billion dito for PS, no? Ang Philippine Army would be getting 20.179 billion. Philippine Navy 15.58 billion, or just a difference of less than 5 billion pesos, 20 and 15. Air Force, of course, a small unit kasi mostly equipment ito, 6.639 billion. Now, comparing the same with the total AFP strength of 152,158 personnel, yung Philippine Army, they have 68.9% or 104,955 personnel of the entire AFP strength, no? Yung Philippine Air Force 12.5%. Yung Philippine Navy 16.6% at 25,260. Now, parang hindi nag-a-add up ito because yung share sa budget ng personnel service ng Philippine Army is 20.179 billion or equivalent to 47.8, actually 47.9%, Yung Philippine Navy 36.7% nung budget compared to just 16.6% of the personnel strength. Air Force okay lang nagtatama siya. But between the Philippine Army and the Philippine Navy, ba't hindi nagtatama yung personnel strength do sa budget sa personnel services? Kindly review this, baka typo ito or because there's a very big discrepancy. 16.6% ng personnel strength ng Philippine Navy ng entire AFP. And yet, their share of the personnel services, yung budget, nasa 36%. 36.7% at 15.58 billion. Kindly recompute kasi mukhang mali.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have...
Siguro mas malaki sweldo ng Navy kaysa sa Army.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we will submit the report. We will look into it again and find out how these figures came out. And we'll submit, sir.
Yeah, please. Now, another question. This is regarding, you have a proposal to transfer from the regular budget yung sa revised modernization program. Na sa regular budget, you're proposing to transfer it to the special purpose fund? Is that correct? Just a briefing ninyo.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. That's correct.
Why?
Para po hindi na
Sa regular
magagalaw.
budget, bakit kaya?
Excuse me, paki-repeat, Mr. Chairman.
Ano lang? Okay.
You want to...
Yung inyong budget sa magkano to? 35 billion You're proposing, I saw in your briefing, you're proposing that it be transferred from your regular budget to SPF, to special purpose fund. So why is that? Nandun na sa regular budget, kayo na yung may control, ililipat nyo sa special purpose fund, and yung special purpose fund is used to augment the regular budget, and it is only released upon the approval of the President. Bakit inaalis nyo pa sa regular budget?
Mr. Chairman, the reason why we want that to be separated is so that yung regular budget kasi ay naglalaps, merong buhay yung budget na yan what is 1 year. And the procurement of capital assets for the AFP is a multi-year contract. So kailangan natin na matagal na And sometimes the procedure of procuring this equipment takes time. So kung meron tayong budget ngayon, sa budget nitong darating ng taon, we start also the procurement. Sometimes it will take more than a year to perfect the contract. So by the time na ma-perfect yung contract, kasama siya sa GAA, tapos na yung buhay ng pera. So we'll have to request again. But if it is put into the special fund, medyo matagal-tagal bago na mawala yung ano na yan, yung budget na yan, and we can plan better the expenditure.
It's either that or you are not ready yet to present the itemized list of your equipment to be procured, di ba? Kasi pag ginawa mong SPF, magiging lump sum yan. Eh meron na kayong Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3, and you're supposed to have identified already the equipment that you will procure during different periods or in different years, ano? So why would you transfer it and transform it into a lump sum appropriation under the special purpose fund instead of an itemized budget under the regular budget? Are you not ready to identify the equipment that you are going to purchase or procure?
We already have we have already identified, Mr. Chairman, in fact, until Horizon 3. But the process is that we cannot start the procurement process hanggat walang pera. Na dapat nandyan yung pera sa DBM. They can confirm that there's money there for this specific project bago pa mag-start yung mga bidding processes and the procedure. So, yun ang titinda namin. That's their argument. That's the main argument that we have to separate it from GAA and make it a special fund.
Well, with all due respect, I would disagree, no? Kasi pag under the NEP nga, nasa regular budget na, it means merong revenue budget dyan. And you should leave it to the Congress kasi supposedly we have the power of the purse to appropriate. And if we appropriate, and since the GAA is the law of the land, then DBM should provide the funds to procure those items that have already been identified by the Defense Department. So, yun lang ang point ko. Bakit gagawin nating lump sum? Yung otherwise, itemized na under the revised AFP Modernization Program. Baka magkaroon ng problema. At saka, di ba pagka obligated na, identified nyo na. So, ipaprocure, ibibid out nyo. Anyway, G2G naman yan under the revised AP Modernization Program. May mga parameters naman sinusunod. So, why would you transfer it to the Special Purpose Fund?
I will look into it again, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
Kaya namin ulit yan.
nasa SPF.
Yeah. We will look. Yes, sir. We will look into it again and consider your comments in this matter.
With the permission of Senator Lacson, sir,
Yes.
just would like to manifest that yung punto na nire-raise ni Senator Lacson, sir, is trying to help you make your life easier.
Yes,
So,
correct.
pero hindi kayo mahirap sa trabaho ninyo. Nandiyan na nga, nasa regular budget ninyo. Ilipat pa nyo sa special fund na with approval of the President. So, kung sabihin ng DBM na, sir, huwag mong i-release sa AP yan dahil may iba pa tayong pagagamitan. So, kayo magiging kawawa. Di ba? Kung nakalagay niyo sa GAA, regular fund, mas maganda. Anyway, kung ang question mo dyan is yung lifespan ng budget na 1 year lang, I'm not recommending you to get the services of PSDBM. Kasi yan ang ginagawa. Yan ang ginagawa ng karamihan. Pag maubos yung lifespan ng budget, punta ka sa PSDBM. PSDBM naman, tuwang-tuwa naman na nandun sa kanila. Dahil magtagal doon, alam mo na, yun lang sa akin, sir. Si Senator Lacson is trying to make your life easier with regards to your budget para hindi kayo mahirap. Yun lang, Senator Lacson, sir.
Yeah, that is correct. Instead of making their life miserable, we like to make their life easier. Anyway.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, sa off-budget accounts, there's 1.451 billion. This is not funded under the expenditure program, of course, kasi off-budget. Ito yung revenue-generating income ng AFP. Are there specific earmarks? If so, kindly give us the details.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'll give the details.
When? During plenary?
We can give it within this before the plenary, Mr. Chairman. We can give the
Alright.
details.
Thank you. Thank you, Del. There's an item sa under MOE. Support to NTF LCAP. 36,807,000. Medyo maliit pero meron na separate budget yung NTF LCAP. Bakit meron pang support to NTF LCAP? What is this? Administrative?
This is the funds that will be used by the AFP, sir, to support LCAP in the field. Wala naman silang natatanggap doon sa LCAP kasi yung LCAP, they have their own projects. So, pangdagdag lang ito, pangdagdag ito sa mga gagamitin ng mga units to support the LCAP projects.
Yes, pero may admin na support fund na rin yung NTF LCAP eh. Out of the 28 billion, di ba, a portion of that is for administrative costs. So why would DND still support the funding of NTF LCAP?
Mr. Chairman, I think the 28 billion that the LCAC is requesting is for the development of the cleared barangays. I believe there is nothing there to be used for administration of LCAC. Pagkakandito ko, Mr. Chairman, is that kanya-kanyang gastos ng pera to support ng LCAC. So, all the line agencies, AFP, the ILG, meron silang de-allocate from their own fund for the sustainment of the LCAC programs in the field. So, yun, the OE, the PWH and everything, hindi naman sila kumukuha sa National LCAC sa NTF LCAC ng pera. In fact, the Executive Director of NTF LCAC, si Secretary Espiron, I think he is using the NSA funds, part of that, to manage the task force.
Yes, okay. Sa AP modernization, tatlo yung
Mr.
horizons.
Chairman,
How,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, sir, with the permission of Senator Lacson, sir.
the permission of Senator Lacson na connected din po dun sa
Of
NTF
course.
LCAC.
sige.
Ah.
Go ahead, Senator Nancy.
Yeah, Secretary Lorenzana, for this year ba ho, meron kayong budget dito sa support to NTF LCAC?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for 2021, for this year. Mr. Chairman, for this year, 2021, the budget to support